Hello and welcome back to Pathfinder Kingmaker. We are here standing next to Where's he gone? And Lindsay's gone as well. Oh, there she is. She's reappeared. Yeah, basically I think there's a thing when you log in and, well, not log in, when you close the game, reopen the game, basically it looks like characters can disappear when you reload. So let's go out and back in and let's see. Jubilost is still missing. Huh. That is weird. Maybe we have to reload the area. Amiri's missing as well. Ah, okay, I see what it does. It doesn't load in your chancellors. Or your counselors. That's very weird. Very, very weird. But yes, what we're going to do this time is we're going to speak to Jubilost. That's step number 1. I was just seeing whether we want any of this stuff. I don't think we do. Nah, none of this needs to come with us. That's fine. Right, we'll leave. Right. Go, let's go have a look around. Also, did I notice that our weight is really low? I think I did. That's very unusual. Has there been a patch? I don't think there's been a patch. I got that kind of patch spidey sense going on, like things are different. Just ever so slightly. Yeah, this only counts as 0. Ah, okay. This is new. Our encumbrance doesn't matter in the party square. That's definitely new. Or maybe it's not. Anyway, Jubilost here? Ah, perfect. Well, we can go speak to him in the square then. Are you kidding me? No, I'm guessing there's not been a patch, because we can't move! It's a great start to the episode. It's a really great start to the episode. We're going to go through a couple more loading screens. How is that? That is fantastic. So yeah, what are we going to do this time? We're going to go speak to Jubilost, then we're going to go and head off towards the witch's mission. We are about 9 days off on Amiri coming out of her job. And then, yeah, and then we're 1 day off of Lander after that. I don't believe we have tasks for them right now, but Christian has nothing to do. Amiri has 9 days, Lander has 10 days. So it seems to me like we're getting to a point where we need to give them jobs to do. It just seems like that simple, right? We need to get them stuff to do. So we can see what we can do with that. We can definitely see what we can do. Also want to know how we get those extra positions filled, but we'll see. Oh, I also think I figured out how to crash the game, or how to crash your movement. You must be when you click on the map. That's probably what stops you from moving. I would test it out, but I don't want to do another loading screen. Also, while we're at that, let's do a little quick save. Hey, Jubilost. Jubilost raises his head and closes his notebook. Ah, it's you! How can I help you? What are you jotting down in your notebook all the time? Notes on our adventures! Good ideas that come to mind. I don't know how it is with you, but in my case, my mind is constantly producing thoughts and ideas worthy of writing down. Some I use in my articles and books, others I will share with the audience next time I speak at Foray Logos in Absalon. Some other thoughts should be kept out of the public view for a while. Our world isn't ready for certain revelations. Okay, tell me about yourself. I've heard this request so many times. Well, as we're traveling together, I suppose I can give you an interview free of charge, of course. Where are you from? All of Galarian is my home. I'm a citizen of the world. Some might say my home is Absalon, that great old patchwork city. It's there that my books and magazine articles are published. And there I am held in particularly high esteem owing to my vast knowledge. In fact, once I was invited to the College of Mysteries itself, but I prefer to think of Absalon not as a home, but a headquarters where I go to plan my next adventure. I visited every country worth mentioning in Navastan and Garund. I've even trodden the exotic lands of TNZ. I've seen miracles you wouldn't even imagine. In every place I've been, there was a home that would have gladly received a renowned explorer such as myself. The famous name of Jubilost Northropple is known even to the most remote corners of the world. Still, where are you born? You know, the line between persistence and importunity is very thin, and you risk crossing that line, Jubilost sighs. Do you think I haven't mentioned my birthplace because of my forgetfulness? I was born in Taldor, if you must know. The Empire is in decline nowadays, but still cherishes the illusion of its past glory. It's a country torn by prejudice. In Taldor, my mind was trapped in a cage of restrictions, birthright poverty, and their beggars be damned attitude. I left the country as soon as I understood it. So, if you ever try to rekindle any patriotic feelings in me, you'll be disappointed. My first article in the Independence was about Taldor. The magazine was almost closed as a result of the scandal that followed, and it would have closed were it not for the crowds of my supporters marching under protest under the windows of the publishing house, making its editors change their minds. Oh, you've travelled so much. Tell me of your travels abroad. Jubilost tilts his head, peering at you. I've written a fair number of articles and essays on my journeys, and, if you'll excuse me, I haven't the slightest desire to retell them all to you right now. If you wish to learn about foreign lands, pick up any issue of the Independence and read it all you like. I'm sure you can find my magazines even in this hole of a place. So you write books and magazine articles? I certainly do. I'm too generous not to share my thoughts and journeys with other minds who search for knowledge. Judging from your face, you don't belong in that category. Jubilost sighs. Among my scientific works, I'd recommend the range of articles published in the National Alchemy. If you prefer lighter reading, you might like the Traveller's Essays or the Scandalous The Independence. If pictures capture your attention better than words, page through the Illustrated Atlas of Avastin. And should you give your cook a volume or two of my culinary alchemax, trust me, it might help. Jubilost throws a speculative glance at you. Some have tried to blame me for a sleazy romance novel called The Five Sins of Saren Ray, but I have no idea who spread these crazy rumours. But if you like such frivolity, I've been informed that a novel sequel, The Sixth Sin, was recently published. Oh, right, so he secretly publishes them. I got it. You wear glasses. Why won't you ask some cleric to heal your eyesight? Jubilost throws a cutting glance at you. I'm sure you could have figured out the answer to that question on your own if you bothered to use a logical approach. At least I sincerely hope so. I prefer to think of you as of lazy person I don't think we need of. I prefer to think of you as a lazy person, not a stupid one. Jubilost tightens his lips. Well then, I suppose it's my fate to enlighten you. Alright, there's no time like the present. Let's build up a logical conclusion together. So, starting with the obvious, the cleric services cost several hundred gold coins. Spectacles cost a few dozen gold coins. So, maybe I couldn't afford to pay the cleric. Incorrect conclusion. I earn enough. Besides, some clerics would surely help me for free of charge, because they're fans of my incomparable talent. The answer can't be the money then. So what is it? Let's explore further. Surely you've noticed that I am a rather famous person. Just to be clear which circles I'm famous in, my scientific articles are well known among the students and teachers of various institutions of higher education. My articles that satirize the rich and powerful are extremely popular among the minor nobility, traders, and workers. That is, among anyone who doesn't have any power for themselves, the kind of people who usually don't have enough money to afford an expensive cleric. Well, can you add it up and find the right answer yet? Jubilost doesn't let you get a single word in edgewise. Apparently he's uninterested in your reaction and is enjoying listening to his own voice. My spectacles are something that unites me with my readers. People are more open to those who share their social status. Many of my readers can't afford to heal their eyesight at the temple, so when I, too, refuse such healing, I become closer to the people. My spectacles are part of my image. Jubilost exhales at last. I believe I've managed to explain the basics of logical thinking. No need to thank me. Hey, thanks for telling me about yourself. Let me ask about something else. Tell me something about the history of the gnome race. This should be interesting to see what he says. What has the world come to? To see a gnome ask another gnome about the history of the gnome race? The gaps in your education are so huge, I doubt that even I would be able to fill them. Well, one thing they say about us gnomes is that few of us live long lives. Certainly, long and happily ever after. Jubilost shakes his head in remorse. We'd live as long as the elves were it not for the bleaching. Oh wow. The bleaching is the name given to the physical decolorization and aging of a gnome, and that is caused by a lack of exposure to new and exciting experiences. Oh, weird. The bleaching of color is accompanied by a psychological decline, first into depression and apathy, and eventually into madness and death. Gnome efforts to fend off the bleaching only serve to fuel their radical curiosity and whimsy, giving it somewhat of a manic edge. Some claim that the bleaching is a result of the gnomes leaving the First World thousands of years ago. rare gnomes survive the bleaching and develop an enigmatic wisdom and connection to the natural world, earning them the name bleachlings. That's the curse of our race, which only struck after the gnomes left the first world. To put it simply, gnomes must constantly have new experiences. If a gnome gets into a rut, so to speak, he bleaches. The first world is so called because it is believed to be the god's first draft of a subsequent plane that would later split into the material plane and the shadow plane. It is coterminous with the material plane and the shadow plane, but exists outside the standard cosmology, being somehow behind the other two planes. The unfinished first world lacks universal fixed laws of physics. Regions of the first world remain as test grounds for different unfinished and sometimes mutable and evolving physical properties. Gravity is inconsistent between parts of the first world, and the speed of light is arbitrary and variable. Where these regions overlap, the reactions between these inconsistent laws can be unpredictable. The first world is home to all manner of strange creatures, apparently prototype versions of plants and animals of the material plane, although its chief inhabitants are Fae, the most powerful of which are the creatures known as the Eldest. We start to lose colour, literally. Our skin and hair becomes pale, and the worst thing is that our soul loses colour too. If the process continues unchecked, the gnome dies. History recalls only a few cases where gnomes actually died of old age. Most of them perish either because of bleaching, or in the middle of some crazy adventure they've joined just to stave it off. Okay. So you travel so much to find a way to fend off the bleaching? Jubilost stares at you, then nods slowly. You see, I enjoy being alive. I like to eat pancakes in the morning. I like to write articles for magazines. I like it when I leave the publishing house in Absalom and a crowd of fans immediately mobs me. So I don't intend to die at the peak of my life because of some stupid ancient curse. But don't you dare imagine that everything I do is just for fear of the bleaching. I tell people the truth about the world that surrounds them. My theoretical research aids the development of different branches of science in various institutes. Yes, sooner or later I'll bleach and die like any other gnome, but the name of the famous Jubilost Narthropple will live throughout the ages. Okay, how did gnomes appear on Galarian? They came here in ancient times from the First World. You do know what the First World is, right? If you don't, ask me about that some other time. I used to lecture on it at a couple of institutes. According to the understanding I've accumulated, the gnomes were an immortal race until some of our especially insightful ancestors came up with a brilliant idea. They decided it would be fun to learn how it feels to be mortal. I'd very much like to meet those gnomes. I wouldn't even kick them, I'd just look them in their eyes without a single word. Too bad they're all long dead by now. As everyone knows, a stupid enough idea can be extremely contagious, so the gnomes caught this infection, all of them, without a hope for a cure. They found a way to Galarian and decided to settle here. And, you'll never believe it, they got just what they wanted. They severed the link with the First World. They gained mortality, the bleaching, and a heap of other local diseases that have been keeping our race on the verge of extinction ever since. Alright, let's change the subject. I'd like to learn more about the First World. Well, you've asked the right person. I'm an expert studying the First World. Give me your questions. The First World, what's it like? It's huge, wild, and extremely unfriendly to the unprepared traveller. Nothing remains consistent there. Matter changes before your eyes. What was a mountain yesterday becomes a river today, and that river flows upwards. The trees touch the sky, the heat of the desert can melt metal, and hurricane winds can tear a person apart. But it'd be wrong to think that the First World as a plane of total destruction. Creation is just as important there. The desert springs a life to forests, and when the hurricane subsides, animals emerge from the hiding. Huge, wild, untamed as the world itself. And the first world epitomizes life in its chaotic meaning. There's a theory that the gods of the First World used the First World as a training ground to practice their ability to create matter, then abandoned the First World to its fate and wandered off to create Galarian. Some say the inhabitants of the First World still hold a grudge against the gods after this. So how can a person get there? Mainly through magic portals created by skilled magicians, but the price of such a portal is usually in excess of several thousand gold coins. There is another way, of course. There are documented cases where spontaneous portals to the First World have opened in remote places in Galarian, where, as mages say, the boundaries between the two worlds have grown thin. But spontaneous portals are rather dangerous. You never know what's lurking on the other side. Only desperate adventurers and madmen use them, and of course romantic, suicidal idiots who think good common sense is too boring. Are there any sentient beings in the First World? Of course, the Fae, and all the relatives and the relatives' relatives, and then some more Fae besides. Sometimes one makes leprechauns or satyrs there, which are actually another type of Fae, just called by another name. All of them are mortal, by the way, at least within their own homeworld. The souls of the first creature of the first world have no connection to the realm of mortals. When the creature of the first world dies, its soul just materializes in another body, similar to its old one. It's not a pleasant experience, and the resurrected creature loses almost all of the powers and abilities it developed over its life, but keeps its memories and personality. It's still much better than a mortal death, I would say. Sometimes the process doesn't even take long. A killer might meet its victim again the following week. Naturally, this immortality has influenced the way the first world inhabitants think. For instance, the Fae enjoy mischief and tricks that can easily end in someone's death. The Fae think it's just funny, and anyone from another world who falls victim to such tricks doesn't end up having much to say at all. Once, the gnomes were mortal relatives of the Fae. Jubilost sighs. Who rules the first world? It's commonly assumed that the eldest rule it. They are the overseers, but more just a glorified version of Fae lords. Power attracts pompous blockheads in every world. You know what? I think we'll just stay quiet on that one. Jubilost gives you a critical stare. It's fortunate then that this problem doesn't trouble your lands at all. Let's get back to the first world. The eldest possess the powers to keep the matter in the first world in a more or less constant state. That's why the Fae treat them as demigods and offer them their prayers, just as we offer prayers to Desna, Erastil, or even Lamashtu. Eldest. No beings rule the chaotic and changeable plane known as the first world, the home of the Fae. But its most powerful residents are the mighty beings known as the Eldest, sometimes known as the Fae Lords or the Shapers. They each pursue their own mysterious goals and have little interest in the doings of lesser creatures. You know a lot about the First World. Have you ever been there? Jubilost wrinkles his lips. I haven't had the opportunity yet. Unfortunately, my studies at the First World are limited to the confused statements of witnesses or scribbles in their diaries. I've also studied the remains of some unfortunates who periodically fall out of spontaneous portals. I keep to the hope that sooner or later I'll manage to visit that wonderful place, and certainly the notes I'd written on the place would be far more extensive and informative than all the rambling on the subject I've had to wade through. Naturally, the main concern of my expedition would be the safety of its leader, namely, me. It would be extremely foolish to go that far and see so much, only to lose the chance to tell anyone about it. I'd like to talk about something else. Okay. You must know a lot about the First World. Yes, we've already done that. Tell me, why have you studied the First World so thoroughly? Jubilost looks at you for several moments, his eyes narrow. I told you already, I like to be alive. I assure you, other gnomes share the same attitude. Between the bleaching, disease, and old age, we have a lot to yearn for. But the ancient gnomes, for some reason, decided that mortality, the bleaching, and all the diseases of Galarian are preferable to this immortality of the First World. I can't do anything to change that, but I can do something with my own life. I want to find a way back into the First World for all the gnomes of Galarian. Unfortunately, to do this, I can't just gather up all the gnomes and send them marching through the nearest portal. We're too attached to Galarian now. We've lost our connection with the chaos of the First World. We've become too immortal, if you see what I mean. When a gnome dies in the First World, he dies forever, like any visitor. But there must be something that can be done to solve this problem. I intend to find out what it is. Jubilost Narthropple, the hero who returned the gnomes home. It's a nice ring to it, wouldn't you say? Yeah, sure. Thanks for the conversation. Come back when you run out of clever ideas again. Okay, well, he certainly can talk. Let's see what you have, Jesus. Hasuf. So, for him, who was the Eyes of the Eagle? Ooh, nice. Anyway, that's not what I'm looking for. What I'm looking for is... wait, newest to oldest? Ah, yeah, that's my stuff. Cool. I was just checking you didn't have anything new in there. I actually don't care what order it's in. I actually want to look for, in here, camping supplies. So our camping supplies are at 13. We like to be at a nice 20, so we'll grab another 7. We are still running out, which is fine. Do I have any build points I want to buy? Probably not. I'll keep our money for just now. That only costs 35. Anything I want to trade with them? I can just, like, offer, can't I? I have nothing to trade. That's fine. Unless I left it. Oh, now we're overloaded. Interesting. That is very interesting that doesn't quite work the way it should there, does it? Weird. Very weird. Anyway. Let's head out of here. That's kind of also a little bit weird. That little fire, but whatever. Right. Head out. All the way out.
The path is clear.
So, who are we taking with us? Who do I want to take with us? I want to take Miri and Tristian. Because I want to go kill the Hodag. And I want to kill the Wisps. So I guess we are taking Miri and Tristian. Who else are we taking? Well, actually, let's start with this. Valerie. There we go. Miri, Tristian. Who else is coming with us? It's a tough one. I think Lindsay. So that means that we need a backline damage. So that takes out these three. There's Jubilost, Octavia, or Ecundio. We took Ecundio for a very long time. I think Octavia gives us the most damage. Jubilost gives us the best fighting against Wisps. Which is why we're taking the rest of them. Like, I think Jubilost is great against Wisps because of his bombs. Because they kind of just do damage. And it's just a reflex save and it does half damage. It always does some amount of damage. That's why I think they're great. Especially if we can group up the Wisps somehow. Which we can't always do, but anyway. So, where do we want to go? Let's have a look at our... Oh, we were also told to go to Lizard Village at some point, which we never went to. So, I want to go to the Mud Bowl. Which is just over here. There's no way to the Mud Bowl this way, so I'd have to head through here and then back in maybe? Or do I head round past the Lizard Village? I kind of get the feeling, actually, I might have to head in past the Lizard Village. It gives us a good excuse to visit. So I want to head here first. And it's all within our lands, which is nice. I also haven't built a village over here. Do I have the BP to do that? I should be able to just build, shouldn't I? I forget how we built the first one, but... If I go to regions, can I just say... Yeah, I can just say I want to build. How much do we have? 130 BP. Where do I want to build it? That's a good question. Because we found that it would give you... it's basically a place where you can get... what's it called? Well, a place where you can rest and get supplies and things. And all. I guess? I think that was what we found, wasn't it? So I could build it over here, assuming we have to go to the Dire Gnar Marches at some point. Or I can build it down here as well. Like, both of these seem like our obvious choice. I'm going to build it here. This is the Southern Gnar Marches. It used to be Troll Land. This is going to be Trollus. Yeah. I think that seems fine. Good. I think it was a place where you could get more supplies. You want to build in here? Maybe not, but maybe. There's definitely an argument for building in here. If we want anything in particular. I don't know. We get well, we already have Divine. But I think if we get something up to 20, maybe that's going to be good for us. What can we build here? Same old, same old. Actually, we don't have a river here, interestingly. So this is probably a windmill place if we're building. So windmill, granary, brewery. Oh, Dragon's armor shop. Oh, right. Yes, we were told to do that, weren't we? Well, let's build his armor shop. What does he get bonuses with? Adjacent to tavern or longhouse. Tavern and longhouse both have... I think it's just there. That's fine. That's fine. We could build a wooden wall. They seem to have other effects as well. I'm going to build a wall. And then we're at BP. Which is not where I want it to be, but... I think that seems like a sensible idea. Because that way we have our craftsmen. And they're actually contributing. Which is something that they're not currently doing. That's good. Right. Let's head down and meet the lizard folk. So we're heading down to Trollus, actually. Right. Seems to be fine. I should move over here. But apart from that, we're good. Probably going to have to rest here or here. That's usually where we have to rest. In fact, it wants us to rest in this bit, usually. Ooh, Kingdom event. Go back to the throne room immediately. You're needed. It's desperately important. Settlement upgrade. You can now upgrade settlements in your barony. Oh, is this because we have our third, town, maybe, or third village? Every 3 villages acquired in your domain will enable you to upgrade one of them to town level, provided that 6 or more slots are occupied in that village. The first upgrade must take place in the capital. Oh, once the upgrade is complete, the number of slots in the settlement increases to 20 and the list of buildings will expand. 3 or more towns in your barony, the 16 occupied in the capital, will enable you to upgrade the capital to a city. Okay. So we need to choose an advisor, and we need 100 BP. I'm going to hold off. How much BP do we get through per week? We get a couple. Do I want to head back? How much is 100 BP? Probably a couple thousand, isn't it? Actually, a BP is 50, I think, in gold. We want 100. That's going to be 5,000. I think we can wait. I don't think we're desperate. We're off doing something.
Oh, time to get some rest, isn't it?
We'll rest in our town here. Mainly because I forgot what you do in a town, so I want to see what we get in this town. Right. In Trollus. Okay. And hopefully we can see what we can do here.
I'll go ahead.
We can explore. Usually, was there not a shop in the previous one? Oh, there's. We can speak to Dragon. Oh, Dragon. Greetings. As you've seen, I've already set up shop. Took a lot of work, of course, but now I got a nice place. No worries other than that. Smithy's Guild. So you had an idea about a family relic and a masterpiece? Duggan's face clouds over. Here's the story. Our family used to have a suit of plate armor named Lawbringer. My grandfather wore it to perform many heroic deeds. What a great dwarf he was. But has been stolen by my own brother, Kurgan. And Kurgan fled. Lawbringer has been on my mind ever since. I'd intended to bring the relic back to the clan and restore it to my good name. After you hired me, one merchant told me he saw fragments of the armor that looked like Lawbringer. Kurgan is such a fool, he couldn't find a buyer for the whole suit. It's too valuable. So he pawned it off piece by piece. Someone got the jam parts, another got the gauntlets, and a third got the cuirass. Fine set of armor turned into a pile of junk, fancy junk. See, if you can find my grandfather's armor and bring it back, I'll promise I'll repay you. It turns out 3 local merchants have 3 pieces of the armor. They're like vultures pulling apart a corpse. They buy whatever catches their eye, not caring whether it's stolen or not. One merchant seems to be in the capital. Another was staying at some trading post, and it's got an owner with a strange name. Third one always prowls in distant corners looking to buy valuables on the cheap. I believe he has an acquaintance, Huntress Dumra. She might well have it. Okay. Want to know more about you? Dagon's cheeks turn beet red and he says softly, Why, it's an honour to indulge your interest. What you care to know about? What's led you to these lands? Dagon's face grows grim. Oh, that's a bad story. My clan have always been proud of its strong blood. My grandfather was a legend, my father was a worthy master, and I dare to hope, haven't failed my family. But my brother Kurgan, he's always been a scallywag, always running off somewhere looking for trouble. Soon after he came of age, he did something terrible. He stole a clan relic, the armor of my respected grandfather, and took off. It was a disgrace. Everyone looked at me like I was the bad seed because I was the brother of the one who laughed at tradition and desecrated the glory of our family. Eventually I decided I had enough and packed my things and left the house, looking for a new place where people wouldn't always be looking at me whispering. That's how I ended up here. Tell me of your craft. Our people are masters in making armor and weapons. Everyone knows that. We can equip a fighter so that he can fight for hours without getting tired or suffering any wounds. Many have tried to copy our designs and methods, but they're just imitators who don't understand the intricacies of the craft. Tell me about your family. Ordash is a decent, respectable clan. We're considered especially honoured, standing out even from among the other clan families. My grandfather accomplished many feats in his time. My father won respect and honour in many battles. I'm trying hard to be worthy of this legacy, especially since I'm carrying the load for two. Dagon's face turns grim. We'll discuss this later. Of course. Do you like hitting my lands? Dagon looks discontented, stroking his beard. Well, what can I say? There's quite a lot of troublemakers here, and the ones that get called honourable aren't exemplary law-abiding citizens. I guess it's what lands like these do to people. Well, I'm in a hurry, let's talk later. Well, that's a quest. Ah, fantastic. I was wondering if we would actually get a quest. Oh, we can definitely do that one. That seems reasonable. I think I know the merchant that's in the town. That's going to be the dwarf. Trading post might be Oleg Leviton. He has a strange name, I guess. Oleg's a bit of a strange name, I guess. You know, it's not normal. Well, it's not completely normal. Oh, who's this person? There's all sorts at this place. I like this one much better than the other one. I do want to have a look around, though. But yeah, I think Oleg's the other one. I don't think we met the third. Yeah. That's fine. Head over here. Yeah, I don't think we met Hunter, whatever her name is. We change party here? No. Right. Shania. A young woman catches your eye. She looks like she has come from far away. She approaches you with a dancing gait and addresses you, speaking in an unfamiliar drawl. May the perfect human protect you. I am happy to meet you, a worthy one. My name is Shania, but you may simply call me the Tulip, as all my best friends do. Ever since the sun rose today, I've had the feeling that I shall take part in a grand encounter, one that shall change our fates forever. And lo, it is so. Praised be the perfect human for this gift he has bestowed upon the eyes to see the future. And so we meet. What next? You, a worthy one, can help me find my calling. I am beset by doubt. What if, by choosing the path of a master smith, I am making a terrible mistake? After all, I, Chania the Tulip, have seen many wonders like the likes of which your humble realm has never heard of, and I wish to recount them, but alas I cannot write in your language. For this reason I require a writer and a worthy cause. I have witnessed Master Chokek cover emptiness and tattoos, and human grew out of them, for these patterns were so intricate and deep that the ink became more important than the flesh. Trust me, for I have woven the tale of these events myself. Perhaps I have been destined to become the muse of a great writer. If, a worthy one, you find a suitable scribe for me, I shall pay you back handsomely with my wisdom and advice. Hey, Jubilost is a renowned scholar and author. Talk to him. Ah, let us see then how learned this man truly is. I hope that this esteemed opium inhaler will enthrall me with the depth of his knowledge and the richness of his verse. I greet you, O most worthy opiumist. I have heard much of your wisdom. Now lend me your ears and I shall tell you a story that... Just a moment. Why on earth did you call me an opiumist? Who came up with that? Isn't every learned man supposed to be an opiumist? Back in Verdra, I met many a noble and illustrious scholars. Each and every one of them inhaled the smoke of opium, so as to lose his mind, that the surrounding world of its lowly impulses would not distract him from his scientific endeavours. I have noticed how empty your eyes are, and... I have never inhaled anything, nor do I intend to. I find it highly unlikely that this whole cast of intellectuals would willingly expose themselves to such substances in order to lose their minds. It is true as a fact that the fastest black genies can outrun the light beams, thus evading the touch of the light, which is fatal to them. Trust me, for I have seen it with my own eyes. It seems to me that you are spinning these wild tales on the go. I very much doubt they have anything to do with your actual travels. I have no interest in such things. Jubilost turns his back in anger. We'll remain silent. Perhaps I'm not as good as telling stories as I thought. Perhaps, after all, putting the events of the past into words is not quite the same thing as witnessing them. Perhaps I chose wrongly when I decided to become a muse. Until I can answer this question, I shall remain true to the calling I've always pursued, weaponsmithing. If in your kindness you could indulge me once more and grant me the workshop in these lands, then I swear to you that I shall make for you truly marvellous weapons, likes of which the lands have never seen. But for now, let me tell you a story that our conversation reminded me of. Okay, I'll listen. This truthful story was divined for me by a woman who had eyes on the palms of her hands. Once upon a time, the sword killer Makna Abakara decided to become immortal. He started living a life with such purpose and determination that his essence would be imprinted on all the future incarnations. Maka studied the arts and became a great conqueror. He consumed the flesh of his enemies and servants to gain their strength. At a feast, Maka once swallowed a whole tiger, and the beast's rage and hunger burned in his veins until consumed by it, he ate himself. Years went by, and a young prince by the name of Purasav Vagma destroyed Maka's empire, slaying all of his generals. For Purasav was a reincarnation of Maka, bent on restoring the empire to its true glory. Eventually, Purasav was defeated in battle, and his empire died with him, but it was Maka Abakara who spawned the terrible race of the Rakshaha, cunning beast, half human and half animal. Trust me, for I've seen these creatures I've met these creatures many times. Maka always dreamed of leaving a mark on the world, and he did, but not in the way that he expected. It was not on the battlefield that his name became immortalized, but in bed, surrounded by concubines. He may have been mistaken in choosing their path, even the wisest of all. Perhaps I am destined to be your advisor, O worthy one, or your lover. Go now, for I need to be alone to think upon my words. What? We can cross this task off our list. Yeah. Yeah.
Lightly.
He was a weird person. I think it's time we leave. Trollus is a silly place. We shall not stay here. And with that, I think we're going to be at the end of the episode. Thank you for watching. Next time we're going to head along to the Lizard Folk Village, and we'll see what happens. See you then. Goodbye.